When you base morality off a God who drowns babies, tells human beings to go slice them open, tells human beings they can own
False.
slaves.
Do Christians run around killing babies, or is that the secularists who do that, sir?
Oh, I think you're missing the point. Once again, it's the religion that teaches the bigotry of not accepting homosexuals.
And scientism brought us eugenics. Like, what's your point, dude?
What aboutism?
What's the
We're going to have a
argument?
civil debate. Are we going to have a civil debate?
All right, I'll have a civil debate with you. What's the actual argument here? If secularists can own slaves and religious people can own slaves, then how is it that secularism is better for society because religious people and secular people can both own slaves under both purviews of both systems?
No, what you've done is create a straw man of what I was originally saying. What the damage of religion is because all of religion has got it wrong. You guys, the religious people, make up ridiculous ideas like women don't have rights, people can be slaves, people can commit genocide against children. That's what religion teaches, because they don't have the actual access to whatever the true God may be. Because, like I said, as a Christian, you would admit everybody else is wrong except for your particular God.
I'm not here to defend Christianity. It's outside the scope of the debate. I'm here to defend whether or not religion is good for society. And all you're doing is making every criticism you've made so far against religion being bad for society is the same criticism I can make towards secularism being bad for society. Secularists can propose all of these things. Give me a reason why they can't and how they haven't. They've done these things. What are you talking about, man?
But in history, it isn't the secularists throughout history that have done these things. It's the Christians who have done these things.
Oh, no, no, it's secularists as well. There's secularist leaders.
Most of history is people who really believe in a God.
Who cares if it's most? Who cares if it's most?
So if you're saying religion on society and how it affects, if most of the people within the world are religious or believe in a religion, and we see the harmful effects from the religion,
and we also see the outcomes being great.
Now you're saying, like, well, the little bit of people, they shouldn't count. Those are the ones we should focus on, the smallest percentage.
Well, first of all, most of the world is religious. Most of the world is religious, and religion's continuing to grow. Most of the world doesn't hold slavery. No, most people in the world have never held slaves, ever. Never. That's one. Two, look at the outcomes for people who are religious. As we're looking at these outcomes, I've already told you many of them. They're more well-adjusted in society. They do better academically. They're more likely to be happier. They have less rates of mental illness. Nihilism, in fact, your viewpoint of moral anti-realism, that leads to severe depression because people have no purpose.
This is off topic, talking about anti-nihilism or nihilism. It's not on
It's not off topic because it's a societal-wide problem.
You don't even know my position. So we didn't bring it up. I didn't bring it up. You're just assuming my position. Once again, for every positive story you can bring up about Christianity, I could bring a negative one up, but that's not the point. What I'm going after is what it actually teaches, like your specific religion, where when you base morality off a God who drowns babies, tells human beings to go slice them open, tells human beings they can own slaves, rewards obedience over actual compared to what Jesus told you to do, it's not the same.
I'm going to just grant all of this because it's irrelevant, assuming that all of it's true and Christianity is 100% false. Do Christians run around killing babies, or is that the secularists who do that, sir?
Oh, no. Oh, I'm pro-life, by the way. But
who is it that does that, sir?
You're interrupting me.
You need to answer my question.
Relevant. It's not relevant.
You don't think abortion's relevant for society, huh?
You're interrupting me whenever you want me to go.
Yeah, whenever you're going to answer the question.
Yeah. My personal beliefs, once again, aren't really relevant. What atheists believe really aren't relevant to a debate. We're not arguing whether atheist views are better for society. We're arguing whether Christian views are better for society. And Christian views come from the Bible, where you're not even consistent with your own views because God has.
Doesn't matter. I don't care. I'll just concede.
I'll
just concede it's not true. It doesn't matter to the debate. Don't you get that yet?
Okay, so then believing in basically I would go back to, once again, believing in things that aren't true aren't good for you.
Oh, okay. So tell me, do you have any type of metric for what is true?
Oh, we're not talking
because if you have no metric,
once again, you're trying to have precept. That's not.
Hang on, stop. I'm talking about society. If you have no metric for what is true, and you postulate a society where untrue things are not things that we ought to believe in, I don't understand how you reconcile that contradiction, Skylar.
Well, we can actually observe things that are harmful for society and recognize things that aren't good for society, like slavery. You would agree slavery is not good for society.
Well, I mean, I think that that's probably true. Yeah, but
Right.
again, going back to the abortion
You
argument,
probably think
you
that that's
say
true, and you probably are.
I can envision some circumstance under some ridiculous hypothetical where you could make some case for slavery. Yes, so can you. So can
What about
everybody.
genocide? Could you do it with genocide?
Well, I don't know. I don't. Maybe in the most ridiculous hypothetical
Hmm.
possible, it might be possible to do. Same with
So,
you.
Sure. So I mean, it doesn't even sound like you're articulating what Christian beliefs are. I guess you don't have any
I
kind
don't need to.
of,
I don't need to do that.
well,
All I need to do is
I
demonstrate.
mean, when you
for
talk about
you,
your morals, you are referencing
when
the
you
Christian
say that
belief
you're
system.
pro-life, you said I'm pro-life. Okay, great. You're pro-life. Is it the atheists who are against abortion, or is it the Christians who are against abortion, sir?
There's lots of atheists who
Yeah,
are. Once again,
mostly.
this is the association
Yeah,
fallacy
the
you're
over the
committing right
top.
now.
Okay, so
You're
you don't.
literally committing the
Yeah, let's
fallacy.
let,
I talked about at the
let's
beginning
let
of the script.
Andrew
Do you
talk for a
so
few.
do you think inside of your worldview that it's way more Christians who are against abortion than it is secularists, and that it's secularists who push the notion that fetuses aren't even human beings? That's pushed by their ideology, not by Christian ideology. You think that that in and of itself is bad for society, or you wouldn't be pro-life. So immediately you're siding with Christians on this huge issue inside of society now.
It's not a Christian. There's nothing in your Bible that teaches you to be pro-life. God isn't pro-life, but that's not the
Whether it's
point.
taught to them or not,
Hey,
they
you're
are.
interrupting me again. So I'd like to be able to just get a word in just there for a second. Once again, this doesn't have to do with Christianity being beneficial to society. When you talk about what atheists believe there, Christians who try to enact laws based on their personal religion to restrict gays from doing certain activities to be able to within our society. I wouldn't find that morally good either, but that's something religion brings through the hateful Christians who have these extreme interpretations of the Bible.
Okay, but atheists have also been bigoted towards homosexuals. So no. If you levy the criticism and say I can't bring up Christianity to point out that most people who are against Christianity are Christians, then you can't then point at Christians and say, but most people who are bigoted against homosexuals are also Christians. They would either both be fallacious or neither one. You tell me, Skylar.
I think you're missing the point. Once again, it's the religion that teaches the bigotry of not accepting homosexuals. Right now, yes, can people who are not religious believe also like have like bad feelings towards gays or negative views on gays and their particular rights, what they should be allowed to do? Sure, not the point, right? Religion is the one through their holy book, right, that told you to execute gay people. Right now, you're just to the point where you're like, I just want to limit their rights. But you're taking a little bit more of a
and scientism brought us eugenics. Like, what's your point, dude?
What aboutism? We were not talking about scientism.
Again,
we're talking about Christianity.
We're talking about religion.
15
religion and
seconds,
society. And not only that, let's dive into this. If any time I make an equation towards, wait, Christians don't do X, atheists mostly do X, and your response is that's fallacious, you can't say that, then you also have to be held to the same exact standards, Skylar, and can't then say, because most Christians do bad thing and most atheists don't, that's not fallacious. It's the same argument in reverse. Why are you not getting this?
No, I'm referring to the teachings. You're referring to the amount of people who believe
eugenics is a teaching.
We weren't talking about eugenics.
I brought up eugenics.
I know it has nothing to do with the
yeah,
we're not.
Yes, it's a counter.
It has. I'm not. I don't have enough information about eugenics to have a conversation with you. Yes, of course I don't. You fucking dick. You want to try to not be as fucking like such an asshole.
You seem so mad. You're so mad, bro. Calm down.
No, see, now this is what I'm talking about, folks. If you ever want, this is what Jesus talked about. By their fruits you'll know them. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, make an argument. Make an argument that you can attribute to me that I can't just attribute right back to secularists. You can't do it. And anytime you call out any type of fallaciousness or fallacy, yeah, anytime you call out the fallacy, you would be guilty of the same fallacy by that metric.
I would not be.
How are you not?
That's an argument from ignorance. How are you not doing this? You have to show it's the case. I'm guilty of this fallacy. But it's not even the point of the debate. The point of the debate is Christianity beneficial for society?
Religion.
Religion, right? Sorry, I was focusing on how Christianity has really fucked up things within the world. But Islam's pretty guilty of it too. Judaism is pretty bad, but there's not as much. There's not as large amount of people of Judaism. But yes, the beliefs of Christianity were both racist. The most of the South in the United States were Christian slave owners. Right, these are Christians, religious people who believed owning slaves was fine because they used the Bible as a justification.
This is a fallacy by your metric.
Your metric but that's not an argument.
That it is. It's literally an argument to say that you're making a fallacious argument by your standards. Your standard is I can't bring up that it's actually secularists who might have been pushing, for instance, slavery. If I make that argument, you say that's fallacious. And at the same time, you say, but I can make the argument that most Christians, push slavery. This makes no sense. You can't have it both ways, dude. So you're going to either have to argue it or you're not. It's one or the other.
let me read the fallacy again. Let me give you an example. Fred is smart. Fred is a Christian. Therefore, all people are Christian. That doesn't logically follow. And saying, hey, like choosing something to be like, hey, atheists support abortion more than Christians. Atheists support abortion. Abortion is bad. Therefore, do you understand it doesn't work?
So that would be like saying Christians support, some Christians support slavery and slavery bad. So therefore, all Christians bad. You see how that works?
Yeah, but that's not the argument I'm making.
That was literally the argument.
No. The argument I'm making is that Christians believe in false things, and from those false things, we end up with dangerous things like slavery, women not being able to have the right to vote. So it's believing in false things is the argument. I wish you could stay on the topic.
Well, then the same exact thing is true for secularists. They also believe false things. And because they believe false things and teach false things, then people under your metric have to be doing something evil, I guess.
Well, we're talking about religion. Is religion good for society? And I'm pointing out by believing in false things and these religious beliefs cause things like what you support, which is women not being able to have the right to vote. Or what was the quote that I heard from you the other day? I almost had to write it down because I was so kind of shocked. Vegan Gains asked you, do you believe women should have the right to vote or not? Mm-hmm. Your answer, if men grant it to them.
Well, that wasn't my answer. I said I don't see
word for word.
Let's let him answer then. Exactly as he does today.
Yeah. I also did something called a qualification where I explained that position. And the position is based around the hierarchical structure of how the human race operates. And how it operates is based along these principles specifically, that men are the givers of rights to women. That has to be that way. It can't be any other way because they have no enforcement mechanism outside of men. So if the dominant patriarchy expresses that women can't vote, I don't see a problem with it. Do you have an argument against that? Because I don't think you do.
Is it immoral for men to stop women from voting?
I thought we weren't talking about morals.
Well, if you want
we're talking about morals all of a sudden because you can't make an argument.
Interrupting me once again.
I think it's fine to talk about the morals because that's kind of the idea is that are we going to be going in a direction that we would see is moral, given the structure. So let's let Andrew wrap up his thought there, Skylar, and then we'll kick it back to you.
Yeah, so this
is asking me a question, wasn't he?
So this is super simple, right? You keep on pivoting away from the topic while claiming I'm pivoting away. I would love to get into whether or not religion is more of a net benefit to society than secularism, or whether or not religion is good for society versus bad for society. Yet every single criticism that you bring up can just be applied right back to you. Every fallacy you make the claim that I'm making, you're making yourself. So I don't even understand how this at this point is even a debate, to be honest with you.
Yeah, what did you have a question in there somewhere?
Yeah, make an argument for why without using your own metric for a fallacy and then engaging in your own claimed fallacy for why it is that religion's bad for society.
Can you try that again? That was an incoherent question.
What was incoherent about the question?
Well, it didn't lead to any it wasn't really a question, it was more of a demand.
Yeah. Do you have arguments?
Yeah, I presented them during the
What's the argument? Tell me the argument.
Religion, once again, has you believe in false things. And believing in false things leads to dangerous things. Like you believe women shouldn't be able to vote. It leads to cults. It leads to things that do not benefit the anti-science, anti-advancement of the human race. It does all of those things.
And do you think that those same criticisms can be applied to secularism or not?
What are their beliefs? What are you specifically saying their beliefs are in?
That secularists can believe in untrue things and do believe in untrue things. And so therefore, if you're applying that because Christianity teaches things that you think are untrue, that if secularism also teaches things that are untrue, secularism would be equally as bad as Christianity, right?
No, because when you're talking about someone maybe believing in an untrue thing, right? Someone could think about the idea of, hey, they think their car is going to work right now, but they go out and their car doesn't work, right? But when you're talking about religion teaching untrue things, we end up with women with no rights and children in slavery.
And why should we value those?
I think there's a big category for difference.
What's the category? What's the category difference? Secularism can also lead.
We're not comparing. We're not arguing secularism.
Secularism can also lead.
I'm not even seculars.
Secularism can lead to the same outcomes. Well, if you're arguing against religion, then you have to replace it with something or nothing.
No, I don't. That's ridiculous.
Something or nothing.
That's not how debates work.
It does if you're making a prescription for society.
You were supposed to be arguing.
For society.
Andrew.
You're interrupting. You had an affirmative, which is religion is better for society, right? That's your job to prove it is better for society. I'm showing you counteroffers why it's not beneficial for society, right?
So let's go through
I was generous enough in the beginning of this debate, right, to open first when traditionally in debates the affirmative goes first, right? I did it for you.
This is an informal
now you're not going to
debate.
get out of the way with trying to switch the burden of proof.
This is an informal debate. That's first and foremost. And secondly, I did make several arguments that you have not refuted yet for why the metrics for religious people are better on society than secularism. I told you that they have better outcomes in almost everything that you could possibly value. Better outcomes in all of that. Even
gay, it doesn't work like that.
Really? Because homosexuals have the most rights inside of Christian nations.
I didn't mention anything about rights. I just said that you didn't have better outcomes if you're gay.
They do. If they're in Christian nations, they have
when they
better
grow up
outcomes.
in religious families. No, they don't. Their families disown them, kick them out of the house.
And by the way,
do you think that's more of? Would that be that's another thing religion does? It teaches you that if your children come out, right, kick them out of your house. Don't disown your children because they're something that you find morally repugnant. Go ahead.
Okay, so first and foremost, you don't need to be any type of religious person to find your child morally repugnant and disown them. In fact, the Christian religion arguably would not do this, would do everything that they could to reform their child. And we know this because we can see the outcomes of children who are in religious families. They do way better.
They're the ones who do
way
Those are the ones
better.
who kick out their children. It isn't secular societies kicking out their children for being gay. It's the religious ones.
Then why are the religious kids doing so well?
That's a fact. Why
are the religious people doing
Andrew?
so
You're not going to
well?
deny that fact. It is a fact.
It's not a fact.
Religious. It's not a fact. Religious families kick their gay kids out of their house.
It maybe sometimes, but
why
also secularists.
Why
but
would
also
secular
secularists do this because maybe their kid's a junkie. Maybe their kid's a fucking junkie.
But
so
you're
they
not
throw them
kicking
out.
That's like missing the point. You're not throwing them out because the point is you're throwing them out because they're gay, not because they're a junkie.
Yeah, but who cares about the why? They're still throwing them out.
I do. I usually care about the why in context of a lot of things. It's kind of important.
So it's only important that they're gay and got kicked out, not the fact that they got
if you
kicked out
just you
for
start
any
that
other
with it's
number of
only
reasons.
important. That's a straw man.
What? Well, I mean, this is your argument. Your argument.
My conclusion,
Andrew
but
speak
it's not really. It's not really my argument.
Your argument is to say Christianity bad because they kick out gay kids sometimes. It's like, okay, well, secularism, you can apply this to secularism too. They also kick out their kids. Whether or not it's for being gay, I don't see how that's relevant.
If you don't see how it's the relevant part, the gay part, when we're talking about religion, I can't help you.
Well, you need to help me. You need to make an argument for how that's the relevant part.
No, I'll let the audience decide about
okay.
that.
I'm sure that they will decide.
Yeah.
Speaking of our audience, we